Welcome to another The Builders Agency Lessons. Today we're going to talk about things happening, things failing, but those things, turning those things into a lesson, turning those things into a powerful way to improve what you're doing. And so you can do better for your business, your clients, your customers, or whatever. So a couple things happened this week that it's unfortunate that these things happened and that this is the topic today. But I'm like, well, you know how we always talk about when you have failures, you always got to turn that into a lesson. People talk about that all the time, right? As long as you learn from it, failures are a good thing. Failures are not a good thing. Okay. Let's get that straight here. People say failures are a good thing all the time. They're not good, but they are what they are. They happen, right? So you do have to learn the lessons from them, which is the good thing. The failure is not the good thing. The lesson's the good thing. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first example of this, actually, unfortunately, I have a couple examples. But the first example of this is where communication broke down. And there's parties to blame. I'm to blame. It doesn't matter who's to blame, right? So there was a situation where we lost some data. We lost some content. We were working on some systems with another team, and our team was coming in. We were just doing stuff. There's a lot going on. It's a big project. And we didn't know this person over here was going to be adding content. And we ended up deleting it. So it's not funny, but I can only laugh about it because we recovered. But that's the point of this, right? Things are going to break down. And that's why you always need to think about implementing kind of failsafes and redundant systems. And in our case, in our world as web designers, developers, that's in the form of backups a lot of times. And not just backups, but multiple people backing up and these kind of redundant things happening that we can fall back on. So in this case, when that happened, when that particular thing happened, we basically... first thing was I had made a backup at a certain backup point, right? And then my team that was working on the system made their own backup. And then there was a particular way we did things where there was actually a backup regardless. So that's three backups. And then there was a fourth server backup. That we could have used if we needed it. But there was multiple parties, multiple systems backing things up. So we never lost that. We were able to recover that, which is the way it should be. It's fantastic. I'm super happy and proud of my team. Proud of all of us for coming out of that and learning that lesson. But the thing about that is then we also learned the lesson, okay, in this particular case, we had been working independently, and now we're actually working closer together here in this situation. And so now it's like, okay, so let's talk about this. Get on a meeting. Okay, well, let's have more communication now going forward. Let's do this in lockstep. Let's make sure so that doesn't happen again. But if it did, we would have backups. So that's one thing that happened. Another thing that happened is we have a staging site that decided to surprise us. Usually staging sites are separate from the live sites, and they have, they're kind of quarantined over here, and certain things are deactivated, and there's a certain thing got undeactivated. And we don't actually know how, who, what, where, why it happened. But it did. Actually, I know how you could do it. An obvious way you could do it by clicking a button, but nobody should be clicking that button. But it could easily accidentally happen, or something else happen that, regardless of what the reason was, though, and it's never happened before. This is like the first time this type of thing's happened. And that's kind of within this lesson too. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. Like until it happens, that's when you have to make the moves. And right away, I'm talking to my team. I said, how can we prevent this from happening again? I suggested some ideas. Those have already been implemented this morning. But we may take that a step further. There's something we're creating adding something more to our staging environments to create those fail-safes, to implement features easier that prevents that type of thing from happening in this scenario. And we can also use that to lock other things down. But that is how we react to those things. It was a little bit of a freak out. Things happened. Some, not great things happened. But it happened, right? When you do a lot of stuff, when you do a lot of things, right? The bigger your business gets, the more business you do, the more stuff you do. Like in our case, the more sites we manage, the more things that are happening, the bigger the team, things are going to happen. You're not going to be, no one's perfect. No one's going to be perfect, but it's not, well, again, one of those things people say all the time. It's not what happens to you. It's how you react to what happens. Something along those lines. But, a lot of people scoff at that and like, yeah, whatever. It's in this scenario, in this context, that is 100% the right way to look at things. It happened. Now, I didn't need to fire anybody. I don't need to do any of that kind of stuff. It wasn't that serious. I mean, the things I'm talking about today weren't that serious, okay? There's a threshold there where things could be so bad that other actions would need to be taken. But in these cases, no, it's nothing to do with the people involved. It has to do with the systems we're building and our processes, and these kind of fail safes that we could implement and stuff. So it's not. It's not as big a deal as you might think there. But anyway, but it doesn't matter how prepared you think you are. And, like you can think through a lot of scenarios. Like you can see a button that you think could be a problem. No one's going to click that button. Well, just never click it. Who's going to click that button? But look at where it's positioned. Or, similar things like that. And then when you have complicated environments like we work in, where you got, larger e-commerce sites or just larger sites that have all these moving parts, something at some point is going to happen. And again, it's not what happens, it's how you react to it. You have to be able to, like in the backup situation, you have to know how to restore those backups and just get things back on track. In this other situation, if that fails, we're going to have well, first of all, we're implementing some things that won't fail in a certain scenario by hiding some things. but yeah, and then multiple people as your business. So as your business grows, it's like a lot of things in business. Like in the beginning, when you're small and you're agile and it's just you. There's less room for error. There's things that are going to happen. But as your business grows, the number of things you're managing grows and the number of people grow, there's something that's going to happen. But, here's the final lesson in all this. All of that stuff that happens will happen. And yes, you learn the lessons and you create the solutions. In our case, we're implementing those fail safes. We're creating redundant systems. We're communicating about it. We're onboarding the lesson as well, because this is something that now we'll think about every time we see a certain scenario, right? But the most important thing that comes out of that is you do better going forward. That your value as a business, or in our case as an agency, rises. Because now we have that experience. And now we've implemented things that not everyone implements, right? We implemented it because of experience. We have experience. I don't know why I'm using quotes. There's no reason to use quotes, but it felt good. We have experience, So the more that goes wrong, the more you learn from it, the more you gain that experience, and the more systems you put in place and processes to prevent those things from happening. Somebody just starting out as an agency isn't going to know to do half the things we do because nothing happened to make that light bulb go on. But the more you do stuff, we've been doing this. This is our 4th year as an agency. I mean, I was a developer before that, obviously, for years. So I bring lessons from past experiences as well. But through all that, though, it just makes us, makes us stronger. It's kind of like folding that metal. Every time you fold it, we get stronger, and things are going to happen, but it is how you react to it. Till next time, take care. Have a great weekend, week, whenever you listen to this.